Welcome to the Hampton U Live Alumni Town Hall. I'm Matthew White, commentator for ESPN Plus and your moderator for today's Athletics Town Hall meeting. The new Hampton U Live series is being hosted by the Office of Alumni Affairs and is one of our latest efforts to keep our alumni connected to their home by the sea and informed on campus matters that are important to them. So we invite you to stay tuned, as this is just the first of a series of upcoming conversations. Today, we'll be getting an in-depth look at all things Hampton University athletics, from the state of the department, what the upcoming sports season will look like, as well as how you at home can get involved. But before we begin, let's go over a few practices that we'll have in place for today's meeting. First, all participants were set to listen only upon entering to the town hall. If a participant would like to comment, they have two ways to proceed. One, you may submit your questions in the chat, or two, you click the raise hand button to be considered for a live video question. We're on a time limit, so we will take as many questions as we can without limiting the conversation or going over time with our panelists. When you submit your questions, please begin with who you are, what your class year is, and then proceed with your question, and be sure to note who you're posing your question to. Lastly, we will not be able to get to all questions, unfortunately, but the Office of Alumni Affairs will be releasing a recap of this town hall where additional alumni questions will be covered. With that said, let's get things started. Well, once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to this town hall conversation. Let me first start by introducing those panelists we have here today. First, we'll start with our coaches. First, head football coach Robert Prunty. Thanks for joining us, coach. Head women's basketball coach David Six. Head men's basketball coach Edward Buck Joyner Jr. Head softball coach Angie Nicholson. Our director of cross country and track and field, Mr. Maurice Pierce. And last, but most certainly not least, our athletic director, Mr. Eugene Marshall II. Let's start things off with Mr. Marshall. Let's start by addressing what some are considering the elephant in the room. Recently, you made a very thoughtful comment about the supporting our student athletes as they make the decision to get involved with the local protests. However, you ended your statement with the phrase, all lives matter, and some people were offended. I just want to give you a chance to further discuss the situation and address the concerns of this Hampton alumni community. Alumni, if you would like to ask additional questions of Mr. Marshall, again, please submit them to the chat and we'll do our best to answer a few of them. And with that being said, Mr. Marshall, go right ahead.
He's got to do it himself.
Good afternoon, Hampton Nation, club members, and Pirate fans. I would like to say a few things and answer that question. First off, I do want to say that I am very outraged by the killing of Black people the way they've been killed, and it's been senseless. Also, the continued racial injustice, I'm against that because Black lives do matter. I am extremely aware that I omitted Black Lives Matter in my post, and it was brought to my attention. The reason of the oversight was because of my emotions. I'm a very emotional person. This issue is very near and dear to me. And so when the oversight was brought to my attention, I directly corrected it. Also, as a Christian, I believe we are in a spiritual battle. And I do apologize for using certain languages that offended folks. But in my eyes and in God's eyes, life is precious. And that's what I meant, that life is very precious. And what I wanted to do was show my support for the protesters, but I also was very concerned and scared about their safety. So in trying to put that all in a post, everything did not come out the way I would like it. But I've been fighting this battle for a long time, and I am still fighting it. and I believe that we will get justice. I do apologize if the comments were insensitive. It was not intended to be that way. I think that each and every one of you who are on this call's life is precious. And I want everybody to be safe. And that's where I erred. And I hope that we will be able to talk to these great coaches who have done a super job. And I thank you for your time.
At this point, if there are any questions, this will be the time. Otherwise, again, due to time constraints, we're going to move the conversation along. And seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on. Mr. Marshall, let's talk about the state of the overall athletic department right now. Facing a lot of issues with COVID-19, not just here at Hampton, but the entire nation and the world. Just talk to me a little bit about what we're doing here with the state of the athletic department here at Hampton University.
Well, first off, I want to make sure all of our viewers out there are well and safe due to this pandemic. What the university has done and what athletics is doing is trying to ensure that our student athletes are well and safe. We are looking and hoping to get our football team back within the next 30 to 40 days. And then after that, our fall sport teams and our men's and women's basketball teams. I will say that our coaches, and they'll talk about it during their time, have done a fantastic job of not only reaching out to each and every one of their student athletes to make sure they're well and safe, but also ensure that their academic progress was successfully met this semester because we were doing remote learning. I also want to thank all the deans and the advisors who helped our student athletes to get through this semester. We've had one of the best academic semesters that we've had in a long time. We're still not sure exactly the timing of the arrival of each team, but that was my estimation. We're still not sure yet what the state and CDC is doing in regards to how many people can come to the games. Right now, we're looking to have a football season. We just don't know the details because each month they allow us to have more people at games. I do think that ESPN Plus is going to be the way to go for some people who do not feel safe. We will cover all our games. And we also are looking at possibly having a virtual homecoming if we cannot have adequate numbers at the football game. So we are looking to do that. There's still some things up in the air, unfortunately, just like most of the colleges and universities around the area. But one of the things we will do is keep you informed as to what we're doing for the fall.
All right, thank you, Mr. Marshall. So we'll start our time individually with the coaches. First, we're going to start off with Coach Robert Prunty, head coach of our football team. Coach Prunty entering into his third season, leading the Pirates. And Coach Prunty, let's just talk about, review your 2019 season, looking ahead here into 2020. The floor is yours, Coach.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm glad to be part of this virtual meeting. And I tell you, me and my staff have been working hard to stay in touch with our student athletes since they left campus in March. And, with the pandemic and the social injustices that have recently taken place, our main focus has been on the mental health of our student athletes and making sure that they're being safe. Looking back on 2019, it's always growth. It's always growth. The guys, you stay in touch with them through Zoom. You communicate with them. You're hoping that they're working out. We hope that we did a good job of training them to leaving here and maintaining some type of conditioning. But I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to it from an offensive standpoint and from a defensive standpoint, and also from a special team standpoint. We feel like we brought in enough guys. We're going to bring in close to 30 new players here. So I think we fill a lot of parts. And, everybody always talking about the quarterback, and we'll make an announcement in the next 2 weeks of another major coming here. So we feel pretty good about where we at. We just got to continue to get these guys here and see where we're going with this, because I think the thing that's more confusing to me is football is a contact sport. And I don't see your social distancing in football. And football is a communication sport. So you have to communicate. I'm still trying to figure it out. You're talking about blood being passed, sweat, guys tackling. I've never seen nobody tackle nobody social distance. So I don't know the difference, what's going to be the difference between this month and 2 months from now if we don't have a cure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coach, again, we will be looking forward to seeing the Pirates on the field this year, as you said, depending on what the climate is, as Mr. Marshall dropped a wonderful nugget for me earlier. We'll have all the games here on ESPN Plus, and looking forward to it. Thanks again, Coach Prunty. Next up, this man entering his 12th season, leading the Lady Pirates, 18-11 season, and his postseason cut short due to the coronavirus. Coach David Six, how are you doing, sir? Let's same question for you. Recap 2019 and your thoughts going here into 2020.
Well, thank you for having me. First, I'd like to offer my condolences to all people who have lost someone due to this unnecessary violence that's going on right now. The challenges of 2020 can't be overstated. From the COVID-19 breakout to what appears to be the systemic assault on Black people's civil rights, to a social awakening of activism from our young people in terms of protest. The last couple of months have give me an opportunity to reflect on what's going on. And I will tell you, I know that I have to do better, and I will do better in terms of protecting and serving my immediate family and my extended family, to include my staff and my student athletes. I realize that I can't just be a teacher of young people anymore. I realize that I'm gonna have to be a reacher of young people. And my best coaching job may not come from the sideline. It may come from a side street. It doesn't necessarily mean that it'll come on the court. As far as the past season is concerned, I don't know. It appears to be in the water. We had some major injuries, but still had a great season. We won 18 games, but we completely overhauled the team in terms of went out and got 3 young ladies, 6'3", 6'2", and we brought in some great freshmen who can got a little dog in them. So they'll be able to go out and play defense the way we want to play. And then we had a transfer sitting out, and we looking forward to her coming back. So, we look forward to that. One of the things I did is each of my students or my student athletes, they have a unique perspective because they all live in different places. And so I asked each of them to text me how they feel about what's going on. And they each did that. I Zoomed them once a week to make sure that they're okay and they're dealing with the pandemic as well as the social issues that are going on. And, once they get back, we plan to do more. We plan to maybe make some kind of committee or coalition where we could talk about their issues and move forward with this.
All right. Thank you, Coach Six. Next, we'll be hearing from another man entering his 12th season, leading the men's Pirates basketball team, Coach Joyner, coming off a appearance in the Big South Tournament Championship game. And Coach Joyner, the same question for you. Thoughts on 2019, looking ahead here into 2020?
First of all, I'd like to kind of echo the same sentiments from Coach Six and from Coach Prunty. First of all, my condolences to all who have lost lives, loved ones, and friends throughout these trying times, whether it be from COVID-19, whether it be from the protesting, police violence, senseless violence. For any reason, I would like to offer my condolences to them. Definitely, throughout these times, starting with the COVID-19, we've had to adjust and will adjust to the new normal. One thing I can say, I'm probably as tech savvy as I've ever been in my life, after dealing with all this, because again, one thing I am proud of my staff and the people around me, we've always been in constant contact with our kids. It changed in some ways the way we have to do it, and it changed in some ways the conversations that we have. But at the end of the day, again, as I had to speak to my two sons, a lot of those questions they've never experienced, seen racism, and they've never seen protesting, and they've never seen some of the things that we've seen, definitely, in my lifetime. So again, as Coach Six said, we have to reach our kids, and leadership is different now. And how we have to approach how we lead, is different. And I've always said we always have to approach the young man and young women and our student athletes as a whole, not just the part that they play for us on the court. But again, speaking to our season, last year, it was bittersweet for us. I am proud of the young men because we did, as Coach Six, we went through a step where injuries killed us. And we lost the number 3 scorer in the nation, and also the number 3 scorer on our team. We had another 2 other big men that we lost at certain points of the year for the season. So we had to make a lot of adjustments, and I got to give it to the young men because of their belief in what we were trying to do, and with the help of my staff being able to help keep their eyes on the prize. At the end of the day, we found ourselves sitting in the championship game, of the Big South tournament. And again, I don't mind. I'm not biting my tongue for this. I haven't had the heart to watch that championship game yet, but I honestly feel like I got a game taken from me, not that I lost one. And if you understand where I'm coming from, that as an athlete and as a competitor, because as coaches we are competitors too. That's a hard pill to swallow, and I still haven't been able to get over it. But we will move on. So the attitude that we've taken as a staff is that we're going to try to stack the deck. Now, when we say that, the one thing that I do think is important for our team, and with these times and not really having a great understanding of or not knowing when we're going to be able to get back, when we're going to be able to resume as we normally do. We've done a lot from video and contact standpoint with our returning players. Of course, starting with Ben Stanley. He's going to be a huge part of what we're doing. And once he decides he wants to, hopefully, lead the NBA draft conversation, he'll come back and we'll be able to, that'll be the beginning of our building block. But then when you talk about Davion Warren, Ed Oliver Hampton, young men like that, we think that they're going to take leadership roles for us this year and help continue on our path to stay in those championship conversations and ultimately win a championship. Young men like Chris Shelton, Daniel Bannister, Deuce Dean, those guys as freshmen played crucial minutes throughout the season for us, and we think that they're going to enhance their roles. Now, to add along with them, we brought in another local young man, Amir Nesbitt, 6'1" shooting guard from the Miller School. Actually 6'1" shooting guard, point guard, from the Miller School, and we think that he'll be able to come in and make an immediate impact. Because losing Jermaine and losing Dondre Griffith, we need a guard that can come in and have an impact early. Now, to add to that, we got two local kids, Marquise Godwin, who's a transfer from ODU, and Dejour Dickens, who's a transfer from ODU. Marquise is 6'5", 6'6" wing shooter, he's had NCAA experience. He was a starter for Old Dominion when we got him second semester of this year. So he and Dejour will both sit out next first semester, but be a part of it second semester. But we think that he'll make an immediate impact on the wing for us, not only offensively, not only defensively with his length, but he can shoot the ball. Dejour Dickens, a 7'1" power forward center, very athletic. We know that, especially on the defensive end, he's going to come in and make an immediate impact on us because, again, he's had NCAA experience and valuable experience from being a starter at his time at ODU. Also, Najee Thomas, a 6'10", 6'11", junior college transfer, very athletic. We expect to come in and play dividends for us early and help hold down the fort. So that, again, last year with the injuries that we had to move Ben Stanley from power forward to center. And Ben is really 6'6", maybe 6'7", but let's say 6'6". So from a size standpoint and sometimes from a body weight standpoint, he was outmatched every night. But from a skill and ability standpoint, he won those battles every night. So now we felt like we had to bring in some more size to help him. We feel like we answered that with Najee, so we can move Ben back to his natural power forward position and even start introducing him to a little bit more combo forward, playing a little bit of wing for us. And then the last one is Ray Pathay, a 6'6" transfer from Howard University, who we're very high on, a young man that we thought that we would get out of high school, but sometimes things happen and better late than never, but 6'5", 6'6" wing that can do several things. And again, he's going to have to sit next year, but we're very excited about what we think he brings to the table. To talk about to talk a little bit more about the season coming up, again, we have unfinished business, and that's the way that we're attacking it. We plan on, if we can get the chemistry and get everything right and hopefully stay away from that injury bug as much as possible, we plan on sitting in that championship game again. And that's what I mean when I say stack the deck. So we try to stack the deck that if, whatever situation hits us, we're ready for it and we got the manpower to handle it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach Joyner. Mr. Riddle, we got your question. We're going to go to that, but first I want to finish the two intros for our two remaining coaches, okay? So we'll come to you shortly. Next up, entering her 5th season, leading the Lady Pirates softball team, Coach Angela Nixon. One could say the coronavirus made a real impact on your season more than others, as the Lady Pirates were 15-4 off to their best start in quite a while, and then unfortunately, Corona happened. So, Coach Nicholson, please talk to us about 2019 and looking ahead to 2020 with the Lady Pirates softball team.
Yes, first I just want to thank everyone for being on this call and for caring and, just showing us that Hampton University means a lot to you and our athletic programs mean a lot to you. So I want to thank you. So our season's just beginning, or so we thought, and we were pretty excited about what we were doing. We're a very young team. I had 1 senior, no juniors, and 19 freshmen and sophomores. So, I was excited, and I thought we were going to do pretty well, just by the talent that we had, and I could tell that we were different. But I thought that it would take a while. Like I thought the season would progress and we'd get better and better throughout the season. But we actually started off way better than I thought. And we were playing some really, really good competition too. So I did not expect what we were doing. And we were coming away with some big wins, big situations. Our kids were stepping up. And so we were really proud, really happy. We did not even enter the Big South play when we ended at 15-4. We got the call. We were actually at practice, and we got the call that we had to stop doing what we were doing, and we were done. So I really didn't know what was happening or why, and I thought it was just going to be a break or something. And then next thing we know, kids are being sent home, and the season's canceled. So a tough way to end. But I've been doing like all the other coaches. We've all been staying in contact and talking a lot, doing a lot of talking, a lot of questions, just making sure that the kids are doing good, how they are, their mental state is probably the biggest thing that we're concerned about. But we've done a great job of staying in touch with them, and they've done a great job of staying in touch with us and answering a lot of their questions moving forward, and doing the best we can through these times. We've talked a lot about the protesting. That's probably the biggest thing we've been talking about is the protesting and what's happening and what are they doing. And a lot of the girls are actually out there protesting, and they're actively involved. And I told them, I told them we need to be out there. We need to be out there protesting. We need to be involved. And so that's what they've been doing. And every time they go out, they let me know. And I tell them, let me know when you get back that you made it safe and that you're okay. And so they've been doing that. And they've actually, I mean, they feel really good about what they're doing and the protests they've been involved in. They've been involved in several very peaceful protests, and their families have been involved too, not just them. It's been really nice to hear back from them and, the experiences that they've had and, how good they feel about, what they're doing. So it's been great.
Thank you, Coach Nicholson. And some say you saved the best for last. This man's entering his 21st season. I guess we can call him the elder statesman of the athletic department, Coach Maurice Pierce, the 2019 indoor and outdoor Big South champs. Coach Pierce, welcome. We know, much like Coach Nicholson, you did have an indoor season, and right before outdoor was able to get underway, Corona stopped your guys' season. So please, sir, give us your thoughts on 2019 going into 2020 here with Hampton University's men's and women's indoor and outdoor track.
Well, 2019, it was a blur. It came and went. We didn't win the championship. My expectations are, I think, higher than most people. Things didn't go our way for whatever reason. Not going to make any excuses. We just didn't get it done, but we were the runner-up. I appreciate the runner-up title. But I was looking forward to the outdoor season because I thought we was going to finally put everything together. All the issues that we had personal issues and academic issues and whatever you can think of issues. So I really thought the outdoor season was going to be a great thing for us. And I was looking forward to it. And I think most of the schools in the conference at the same were looking forward to outdoor season. And I also knew that we had a lot of kids that could make it to the NCAA championships outdoor. So it's kind of like a damper for the conference situation and in terms of going to the NCAAs. So we just got to regroup. We just communicating with the kids. My staff has always done a great job of communicating with the kids. I try to stay out of their way sometimes. They do a job of communicating. We sent letters. We communicated with the kids. You got to remember now, I got 2 genders. So with 2 genders, that's over 50 problems and concerns and issues. So I can't cover all that. So I'll let my staff do a lot of that. Our only issue that we're having now is that recruiting continues to change. So we can't get out and recruit. I'm a recruiter. I like to go visit people and see people. Can't do that now. So I got to learn how to do all this Zoom stuff. I got to talk on the phone more and sell the program that way. What it is, we'll get it done. I'm looking forward to 2020 because we have an excellent team. We have an excellent team. We recruited a lot of good young people, a lot of local people. And local people has always been the backbone of our program. I'm not going to sit here and try to name all those people because it's too many, but they're extremely good. 2020 will be a great year. We should win. Only good thing for us is that fall training allows us the opportunity to get in shape for indoor season. So I'm looking forward to the fall season, for us to be able to train hard for those 3 to 4 months. I know they're going home early over the holidays, so we'll have to adjust to that. Forward to the fall time to get everybody back in shape.
All right. Thank you, Coach Pierce. And now we'll go to some of the questions we received in the group chat. And I'm going to post this first one to Mr. Marshall. And this comes from Mr. Trey Riddle. To what extent is Hampton University engaging with the NCAA and the professional ranks to utilize best practices to interact with our student athletes and players to improve the chances for team sports to resume as previously scheduled?
That's a great question. We follow not only what the professional teams do, but we're also involved with the NCAA. We have quite a few committees that our coaches are on, which we call Return to Play Committee. So we have some people from Hampton on the Big South Committee. We also have people from the Big South on the NCAA committee, and I'm on the FCS Football Championships committee. So we're in constant contact with the NCAA with regards to when we're going to return to play. Our biggest concern as Hampton is that we want to make sure that our student athletes are well and safe. And as people have been seeing lately, Alabama and other places, the student athletes come back and they're tested negative, but within a couple of days they're tested positive. So those are the concerns that we have, and that's why we're taking our time. And Coach Prenny and I talk about this all the time. We're looking at what's in the best interest of the student athlete and their health and safety, as well as our coaching staff. So we are in touch. We have weekly athletic director calls from the Big South. I have bi-monthly FCS championship with the NCAA calls. And we also have an infectious disease committee on campus that monitors and puts policy in place for what Hampton University is going to do in this pandemic. So we're involved both campus, conference, and NCAA.
All right, thank you, Mr. Marshall. Mr. Riddle, we saw you raise your hand, so we're gonna give the floor to you, sir.
Oh, no, you answered my question. I think the other question, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
The other question, and several of the coaches had mentioned the challenges in the COVID-19 environment as it relates to recruiting. How may alumni assist outside, of course, giving the program money, but how may alumni assist in that regard to make our programs known to either targeted players or players that may not necessarily Hampton may not be on their radar right now, but very well could be on their radar with a little elbow grease.
I'm going to defer that to the coaches because each coach has their own little way of how they want to recruit and how you can help them. So it might be a great idea, Matt, if you let the coaches chime in.
Sure. Does anybody want to chime in first? Coach Joyner, Coach Prunty, anybody?
But I don't. The first thing is you doing it right now by wearing that Hampton Nation shirt. I think that because it's not so much the NCAA are going to allow you to do. So I think just continue to spread the word. You know, Hampton University, and then that's the most important thing. But that's going to fall on the coaches. I mean, we the ones got to get out there and get on and make these virtual recruiting calls. We got to have Zoom meetings with these players. And what we've done is that we're even using our FaceTime to take tours on campus. So we're making adjustments the best we can, but everything is working from the office and on campus. You know, Hampton sells itself. You know, it's a beautiful campus, and when you walk around on it, you walk through Legacy Park and you go through some of these, these different like the student center. The kids, they see the bowling alley. I mean, this stuff that here at Hampton that kids really get attracted to. And then you can't say enough about the alumni and how well they do, especially when you get into what all is going on. One thing that we've been able to talk about is, having Dr. King's mother, Alberta King, attend Hampton, and you just build off of those names. I think Hampton speaks for itself.
Coach Nicholson, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, look, Coach is right because, I mean, just this past week alone, it was my daughter's graduation week, and so I was out a lot doing different things for her graduation. And just having like a Hampton sticker on my car, wearing a Hampton shirt when I'm out at Walmart, like seriously, I got stopped in the parking lot so many times. My husband got stopped when they had a parade for my daughter's senior week, and they did a parade, and the cars that were going by because my husband had a Hampton shirt on, I mean, they were screaming from their cars, and it's all alumni. Like I got stopped in Walmart's parking lot because he saw a bumper sticker on my car. He saw Hampton and he starts, it was an older man and woman, married couple, both alumni. They were so happy to see. They were like, "Hey, how do you know? What do you know? What do you do at Hampton?" And I told them, and they instantly knew about Monet Davis and my program, and they couldn't wait. And are you going to play in the fall? We can't wait out to come see you. But it's just advertising. You know, you wearing that Hampton Nation shirt, Trey, that you got on right now. When you guys wear that stuff out, the alumni is so happy and they get so excited, and they're fantastic people, and instantly they want to have conversation, and it's great. So I think the best thing you can do is continue to do that as much as you can, whether it's a hat, a shirt, a bumper sticker, a decal. All of that starts conversation, and it's really awesome. And again, I want to thank you for doing that, because it definitely helps.
Coach Pierce, I see you got your hand raised.
Yeah. I'm gonna piggyback off what the two coaches just said, but also I think that wherever you live, wherever alumni live, when you go to sporting events in whatever sport you might like, when you hear about a kid or see a kid play or participate in a sport, share it with the coaches of that sport at Hampton. Don't be afraid to send an email, or if you see a newspaper article about a kid in whatever sport it is, don't be afraid to send that article to the coaches or the sports information office. Because sometimes you might be at an event and looking at someone else, and then someone else catches your eye, and we can't cover all the bases to all the 50 states. So wherever all alumni, it would be great if you could just share information with us when you get it, or if you hear about a talented athlete.
Real new. All right, thank you, Coach Pierce. I thank all the coaches for their comments on this. Just in the interest of moving the discussion along, we're going to go now on to our next topic, and this really applies to all the coaches. When we look at the newest additions to the Big South, and a lot of news was raised with North Carolina A&T coming as a full member in 2021, and then specifically for Coach Prunty, Robert Morris announced yesterday they'll be joining the Big South as an affiliate member. So this is open to any coaches who want to talk about the growth with the impact. And just again, in the interest of time, let's try and keep all of our responses to about 2 minutes. So anybody want to talk about the growth coming here into the Big South, moving into 2020 and 2021 and on and so forth?
I'll step in right quick.
Go ahead.
And then Coach Prunty.
Go ahead.
Those new schools coming into conference is a direct correlation with Hampton University, because we are in the meetings and we are driving the growth of the Big South. And one of the things that I want our alumni to know, that we hear you. We hear what you're saying. We hear you. You know, you want some more diversity. And you know what? You know, we got North Carolina A&T. I think by us leading the way and also sitting in the meetings, unfortunately, COVID-19 has affected the fact that we were going to have the Big South tournament in Charlotte at a neutral site. And that was Dr. Harvey's idea based on the experience of Hampton and the CIAA and the MEAC. So I'm going to turn it over to the coaches, but I want the alumni to know that Hampton has a big hand in the growth and development of the Big South Conference.
All right, Coach Prunty, floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I'm all about diversity. So bringing A&T in and now bringing Robert Morris, you know, it'd be great to see another HBC school come in, because you want diversity. You know, I never forget sitting there, you know, watching the game on ESPN when Buckingham was playing for the Big South Championship. I mean, so many people locked into that game. And some of the games that Sixon was in and how good his girls were playing. And then the first year, me being here and going in with integration of it, Coach Pierce track team, you know, wins the Big South. You know, and then, you know, with Monet Davis being added to the softball, you know, look at the publicity, marketing. You can't pay for that. So I'm all about diversity. I want more. I would like to see at least 2 more HBC teams come in. You added Robert Moore. Let's try to balance this thing out. And I think it make it more competitive, because you can clearly see from going over those coaches, you know, from Buck to Six to, you know, Angie and to Maurice, how competitive Hampton is. So, you know, we just got to keep building. We got to keep building. And that's what you want in your program.
Coach Six, we'll end this topic with you, and we'll go to some more questions from alumni. Go ahead, Coach Six.
I just wanted to say, and I think I can speak for Buck, the energy that's going to come from playing a team like North Carolina A&T, both home and away, is invaluable. I mean, it gives us a natural rivalry right away, and gets some of our fans back because they like the electric that comes with playing a team like North Carolina A&T. So I just wanted to add that.
All right, and now we'll go back to some questions from the alumni. And this question actually is combined from two alums. One came from Damian Bavel, excuse me if I mispronounced that, as well as Mr. Jeff Granger. And this is to any coaches. How are we as an HBCU capitalizing off the current environment and more high-profile athletes thinking of coming to HU? Do we have video or stats that separates us from other HBCUs as far as pros, from HBCUs, Olympic sports, etc., which ties into what Damien asked. My question is regarding the athletic department's strategic goals. It seems like there's an opportunity for Hampton to elevate its recruiting profile, especially as more recruits express interest in HBCUs. What are we as an athletic department doing to position ourselves to consistently secure more elite student athletes, and how can the alumni help? Mr. Marshall, you want to start that off, and then we'll go to some of the coaches?
Yes, great questions. What we have been doing, we had Monet Davis come. Jim Brown's son is coming. There are some basketball players and some track athletes that express interest, and our coaches are jumping right on it. When we want the best and the brightest, the strategic plan is to go out and recruit the best and the brightest. And we will provide the funding for each coach to do that. And that's what they've been doing. And their phones, I'll let them speak for themselves, their phones have been ringing off the hook in regards to folks of a high profile caliber having interest in HBCUs and in particular Hampton University.
Go ahead, Coach Pierce.
Well, I think the university itself, and I know my program, we've always went after high-profile athletes. We get them all? No. We always go after high-profile athletes. Right now, it is true that the wave is shifting back towards historically Black colleges and universities, and more kids are opening their eyes and being more intrigued about the opportunity. But we got to take advantage of it right now while the fire is hot. And if we don't, then that wave will just go by us. So I think Hampton is in the position to continue to take advantage of getting high-profile athletes. And then once more come in, we got to keep on adding more to what we do. We just can't settle. Because again, like I said, I've always recruited high-profile athletes, and each sport at this university has had a few. But we got to continue to grow and make that a permanent thing every year, not right now when it's just hot right now. So we got to keep the ball going and do whatever we need to do to keep this train moving.
Any other coaches want to chime in? Coach Joyner?
And I think we can probably answer a lot of questions, or answer the last several questions off of this. And I agree with Coach Pierce. Yes, we do got to continue to ride this wave. There is a renewed feeling for these kids to want to attend HBCUs or at least give HBCUs a look. I think it goes back to Trey's question, where the alumni and everybody can be important. Keep our names or keep our sports and Hampton University in their face. I mean, several people I think I recognize on this call, from Jeff Granger to Calvin Butts, people like that. A lot of these young men who have these interests, come to find out some of their parents are Hampton alum. A lot of their families are Hampton alum. One of the things that we've been able to, or I know I've been able to do, and I think I can speak for everybody, is use this platform alone, use our alumni alone, even to the point where some of these kids, some of these young men have even when we weren't be able to initially reach them, because of the ties and connections that we have with alumni and they have with these young people and their families, they've contacted us. They begin to call us. I think the important part for us to to remember as a university. And one of the things that I tell all these young kids, you know, one, I'm HBCU, I'm Black College born and bred. I'm not afraid to say that, you know, but at the end of the day, one thing I appreciate about Hampton University, and one thing that I appreciate about our family here is that of any of the HBCUs, and we're here to help the whole culture, not just Hampton, but of any of them, I think we're more equipped to handle these young men when they come. That if they decide that they want to come to a HBCU and stick to that, we're as close to the normal as what you're gonna see. We have apartment housing, we have cost of attendance, we have, you know, a lot of things that what they're being told they'll get when they go to these traditional institutions, we already have in place. Now, what we've been able to also do over this time as a program is we've revamped our total recruiting process to where, as one of you asked, we have a new video that we put out that's highlighting everything, you know, about the Convocation Center, our sports, what we've done, all the kids that have played professional for us. I mean, it even became shocking to me. I didn't realize in a 12-year period, I had 27 kids playing professional basketball right now. You know, but through that, you know, we were able to explain that to these kids and make them understand that if you're good, you can make it from anywhere. We're just looking for one of y'all to be bold enough to make that choice and carry the weight of what we're trying to do on your back. You know, but, you know, again, Trey, I think you had a great question. The best way for us to capitalize on some of this is that if you guys keep our names in your mouths, y'all have been, throughout this time, the alumni has probably been my best recruiting piece. And I probably get 50 to 100 emails a day, you know, or calls a day, you know, about different prospects that I just can't get out and see because of the times. But we've all had to revamp the way that we recruit and update the way that we recruit, because that's the eyes not only to our athletic department. You know, I strongly believe that athletics is the eyes to the university. You know, when we made that championship run with some of the things Mo Pete did, you know, in 2019, that was the eyes of the university. That's the way our university is viewed. So we had to make sure, we do have to make sure we keep up with the time and with the times and try to make sure these kids understand that this is a good place to be. And with the things that we put together, I know Jeff and some of those other guys have actually made videos for us that we send to recruits. Even we use what our admissions sent out. They have a beautiful virtual tour, you know, that they just put out along with Matt White and all. And we use that. We send those things to kids to try to give them a better look at our university and make sure they understand that we got everything to offer that anybody else has. It's up to them to make that decision.
All right, thank you, Coach. We're going to move on to our next topic. We've got some good questions here from the alumni, which are going to bridge us right to it. I'm going to now transition to talk about the athletic development and the fundraising support. And Mr. Marshall, this question comes from Dan Hyman, and the question is, what is our strategic plan to actively engage our athletic alumni to promote increased financial giving, job opportunities for graduates, and the overall support for our various athletic programs?
Great question. One of the things that Mr. Washington, who's our Director of Athletic Development, myself have been doing is having some virtual Zoom meetings so that we can talk to everybody and let them know what we're trying to do. Hey, we need to not only raise money, but we're raising awareness. One of the things that our teams do is try to travel and play in different areas where the alumni are so we can get some support. So you'll be getting a Zoom invite over the next couple of weeks to months so we can talk about how you can help. One of the things, it's not just about giving money, but it's about, as the coaches said, wear your Hampton stuff. Let everybody know that you're from Hampton University, because that's what's going to attract these student athletes that are going to help us in the future. And then as we talk about our needs, we've spent in the 6 years that I've been here over $12 million in renovations. We've generated about $13 million in additional revenue. And that comes from a variety of things. It comes from guarantees. It comes from your contributions. And what we're also trying to do now is we're looking at, just to give you an example, we're looking at turf for the softball field. We're looking at lights for the softball field. we're looking at doing some things in our weight room to expand it so that it'll help football and basketball. So those are just a few things that we are doing. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be reaching out via Zoom and get a chance to dialogue with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Another question from an alum, Ms. Norma Hatat, asked, what supports are being given to the student athletes on scholarship in the golf program now that the program has been discontinued?
Great question. Between the coach and us in the athletic department, we are helping them to find another home while we're also out trying to secure additional funds if we can maintain the program. The athletic department took a $1,400,000 hit because of COVID-19. So that's what we're trying to recoup. It would be $352,000 to sustain the program and $600,000 to keep it going for another year.
And Mr. Marshall, not to keep you on the hot spot, but you kind of touched on it in your opening statement, but Homecoming 2021, Homecoming 2020, I apologize. What are we thinking about, looking at? What are the, what's the outlook for the likelihood of alumni being able to come back and celebrate?
Well, it is improving as the weeks go by. It may be modified. So we are still looking at some virtual, but also if the numbers keep going down and they allow us to have more people, I'm hopeful that we could have some semblance of a homecoming. I would love everything to go back to normal so we could have 20,000 alumni back. We had 15 last year, but realistically, that doesn't look like it. But I do think we will have a nice crowd, but that's going to tell in the next month and a half. We will keep everybody posted.
Thank you for that information, Mr. Marshall. So we are coming to the end of our town hall. So I just want to thank you all for joining us for our first virtual Hampton U Live Alumni Town Hall. This has been a great conversation. I want to first thank our panelists for taking the time to speak with the alumni today. I would also like to thank our alumni for tuning in and being part of today's talk. For more information on Hampton Athletics, please visit them online at hamptonpirates.com. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you this season.